All right, good afternoon. I wanted to give you kind of a rundown of how to operate the digger derrick, how the remote works, and just so there wasn't any confusion when you receive it. It is a little bit different than most of them. I'm going to leave the engine off right now just so you can hear me real well. Obviously, first of all, you start the truck. Once all your lights go out and your air, make sure your air is up over 90 psi on both these gauges. And then you reach up here and turn on your PTO, okay? And then that will engage the PTO. And then we'll get out back here without falling. And we'll come to the back of the truck and put all four outriggers down. We've got two right here for the driver's side. Once again, you just kind of want to press them into the ground. You don't want to pick the truck up. The reason why I always say that, a lot of people, they'll get the outriggers, they'll pick the whole truck up, and then sometimes the outriggers will get in a bind because you think about it on each side, they're kind of fighting each other because they're kind of at an angle, and then it can make it hard to pull the outriggers back in. Sometimes they'll get jammed. This is a tangent, but if that ever happens on either your bucket truck or this one, there's a trick. You go ahead and leave the outriggers down, you know, whatever, doesn't matter which side is jammed, and then you pick the boom up, whether it be on the digger or a bucket truck, and you rotate it way over to one side. And what that'll do is take the pressure off of the outside, the side opposite of the boom, and then you flip your selector and pull the outriggers in just a little bit to relieve the pressure. Then you obviously put your boom back down and you can pull your outriggers in. But that was kind of a tangent. So put your outriggers down all the way on both sides. On this side, it's these two outside ones. This is your tool port. You'll probably never use that. That's for hydraulic tools, okay? So once you have all four outriggers down, then you go to this switch that says outriggers and tools, and you flip it down to Derrick, okay? Once you do that, your upper controls up there will be active, but up there on the upper controls, there is a little switch that turns on the radio receiver for the remote, okay? And when that switch is flipped to remote, then those controls will not work and the remote will work, okay? So let me show you kind of how to work the remote. It takes people a while if they're never shown. First of all, there's a battery charger right here. There's two batteries. There's one in the remote, and then there's this one here. It just pops out, and these are available on Amazon. If you ever have to buy new ones, don't contact Alltech or you'll pay 5 times what they cost. But once you have your outriggers down and you have your upper switch to remote, and you have the switch on the back bumper switch to Derrick, then you grab your remote and there's a knob here that you turn on. You can hear it beep, okay? And then once it connects, you can hit this button here and the truck will honk. That's telling you that the remote is active, and then this light won't be flashing. The reason it's flashing is I don't have the truck running and I don't have, the switches flipped and the outriggers down and all that. So this first control here is for boom up and boom down, okay? And then left or right is for rotate, okay? So it's boom up, boom down, left, right, counterclockwise or clockwise for boom rotate. Okay, this is for your interim, the center extension of the boom. There's 3 sections of the boom. This is for the middle one. This will extend it, this will retract it, okay? And then your upper boom, your third stage out at the very end, this will extend, this will retract, okay? This is for your pull guides, which is the grab handles at the front, okay? This opens and closes them, and this tilts them forward and backward, okay? And then last is your winch. Winch down, winch up, and then this is your digger function, left or right, whether the auger was going to move counterclockwise or clockwise. You also have a throttle switch here where you can increase the throttle. I would not recommend running it at high RPM until you're very, very comfortable, and unless you're really needing the speed and the power. It's because you're spinning the hydraulic pump so much. It's really, you know, if you're digging through something with the auger that's really, really stout, you shouldn't have to do it on raising anything. This stops and starts the engine. This turns off and on your tool controls. And this one over here that has the little block around it is for your auger release. Now, the auger has a little strap on it, and it's sitting down on the release. You may have worked with these before, but the way that you release it is you barely rotate the auger to take the tension off of the release, and you have the boom very far up in the air so that all that weight of that auger is not going to be on that strap. And when you release it and when you put it back, you want to have your boom damn near straight up so that you don't break your strap. And obviously make sure, keep everybody away from the auger, so if the strap does break, no one's in the swing path, okay? Then we've got standard speed and low speed, and what they call digger shift, which speeds up and slows down the auger, the digger. This button here is just kills everything so that none of the controls will work. Now, there is a period, I believe it's like, I don't know, 60 to 90 seconds when you have this connected. If you haven't used it, it will automatically disable this, and you'll have to turn it off with the black knob and then turn it back on. And then once again, you hit what I always do, I'll hit the horn button just to verify that it's connected, and then the horn on the truck will honk, okay? So be very careful with this remote. They're very expensive. They have a tendency to be left on the back of the truck and disappear, or walk off, or fall off the back of the truck going down the highway. If that happens, it's about a $4,000 deal. Try not to do that. And obviously you have all of these controls up there from the upper controls as well. Just the remote adds an additional, you know, convenience to it. And so when you engage and so that explains all that. So once you get the boom set all back down and you've got everything retracted, you go and you flip your switch on the back bumper back to outriggers and pull the outriggers up. And then always make sure you turn off your PTO before you go drive. Very, very, very important. So we're working on getting the shipping scheduled. We got the truck all checked over. Everything's great, runs great. AC blows cold, everything works, cruise control works. And I think you're gonna be real happy with it. But I wanted to kind of give you a quick rundown of how to operate everything. The biggest tip I can give you is be very, very careful when you're releasing that auger, because, you know, there's a lot of force involved in that. It's, you know, obviously very heavy. It's relying upon a nylon strap. And we've found that having that boom very high vertically takes the tension off that. The guys who want to try to drop the auger when the boom's stuck straight out the side of the truck or out the back, they end up being out in the middle of nowhere trying to figure out how to get that thing back up in the clip without the strap, because the strap will break. And anything that's in that path, when that strap breaks, the auger will swing down and hit. So just be very, very careful with that. Once it's up in the clip, when you release your auger here, you do not have to push the release to put the auger back up in the retention clip. The finger inside there it pushes open, it's spring loaded. It won't drop down, but when you're reeling the auger in up the strap, it will hit that clip and push it open, and it will automatically stow itself. The only time you use the auger release after you've taken the tension off, you know, by watching, getting the strap a little bit tighter and taking it off that finger, is you hit this. So, and that will release it. But give me a call if you need anything. I will keep you posted on the shipping, and we'll go from there. Thank you.